Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Compasa. Today I'm going to talk about the drone attack that hit a Iranian military factory. I think it was in Isfahan, as well as Assad's and Erdogan's rapprochement regarding Syria. Right, it's a short one, and it's been talked about before, but I thought we can touch upon that a little bit. So this Reuters article goes like this: Iranian military factory hit by drone attack. A loud explosion struck a military industry factory near the central Iranian city of Isfahan overnight in what Tehran said on Sunday was a drone strike by unidentified attackers, most likely Israel, because they're known to do these type of things in Iran, many covert attacks. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the blast, which came amid tension with the West over Tehran's nuclear activity and supply for arms for Russia's war in Ukraine, as well as months of anti-government demonstrations at home. Iran's foreign minister said the cowardly attack was aimed at creating insecurity in Iran. The defense ministry said the explosion caused only minor damage and no casualties. The extent of the damage could not be independently confirmed. Such actions will not impact our experts' determination to progress in our peaceful nuclear work, Hossein Amir Abdullahian told reporters in televised remarks. Iranian media video showed a flash of light at the plant, which the official news agency IRNA described as an ammunition factory. Footage also showed emergency vehicles and fire trucks outside the complex. Around 23:30 on Saturday night, an unsuccessful attack was carried out using micro-aerial vehicles, MAVs, on one of the ministry's workshop sites, the defense ministry said in a statement carried by state TV. It said one drone was shot down and the other two were caught in defense traps and blew up. It caused only minor damage to the roof of a workshop building. There were no casualties. The attack has not affected our installations and mission, and such blind measures will not have an impact on the continuation of the country's progress, the statement said. Separately, IRNA reported early on Sunday a massive fire at a motor oil factory in an industrial zone near the northwestern city of Tabriz. It gave no information about the cause of that blaze. Past explosions and fires. The Islamic Republic has in the past accused arch-enemy Israel of planning attacks using agents inside Iranian territory. In July, Tehran said it had arrested a sabotage team made up of Kurdish militants working for Israel who planned to blow up a sensitive defense industry center in Isfahan. An Israeli military spokesperson declined comment when asked if Israel had a connection to the latest incident. Sorry about that. Israel has long said it could attack Iran if diplomacy fails to curb Tehran's nuclear or ballistic missile programs, but has a policy of withholding comment on specific incidents. In Ukraine, which accuses Iran of supplying hundreds of drones to Russia to attack civilian targets in the Ukrainian cities far from this front, a senior aide to President Volodymyr Zelensky linked the incident directly to the war there. War logic is inexorable and murderous. It builds the authors and accomplices strictly. Mikhailo Podolyak tweeted. Explosive night in Iran, drone and missile production, oil refineries. Did warn you. Several Iranian nuclear sites are located in Isfahan province, including Natanz, centerpiece of Iran's uranium enrichment program, which Iran accuses Israel of sabotaging in 2021. there have been a number of explosions and fires around Iranian military, nuclear, and industrial sites in recent years. So I want to go through a little bit about what the Ukrainians talked about, civilian infrastructure, which is, or civilian targets, which is bullshit, really. I'm sure it has happened a few times, but in general, no. The Russians do not attack, or try not to attack, at least civilian targets. What it is in war, when Russia attacked Ukraine, it did not use shock and awe methods, similar to what the United States have done in, for instance, Iraq, where they attacked the electricity grid, the energy system, and so forth. It wasn't up until the destruction of the Crimea bridge when the Russians decided that, you know what, we're going to attack the electricity grid and the heating system and all of these things. Yeah, this is completely normal during war, apparently. That's what I heard from military experts. In fact, many were surprised that Russia haven't done this before. So, yeah. Because a lot of these so-called civilian targets, that is the energy facilities, they are also used to support the Ukrainian military, right? So, and their intelligence services. Anyway, talks between Iran and world powers to revive a 2015 nuclear deal have stalled since September. Under the pact abandoned by Washington in 2018, under then President Donald Trump, Tehran agreed to limit nuclear work in return for easing of sanctions. Iran has acknowledged sending drones to Russia, but says they were sent before Moscow's invasion of Ukraine last year. Moscow denies its forces use Iranian drones in Ukraine, although many have been shot down and recovered there. I mean, yeah, that's actually true. They are using them. Iran's clerical rulers have also faced internal turmoil in recent months, with a crackdown on widespread anti-establishment demonstrations spurred by the death in custody of a woman held for allegedly violating its strict Islamic dress code. Yes, they spoke about a team of Kurdish saboteurs, and the Kurdish groups have been used by Israel as proxies against their enemies in the region. They were used against Saddam Hussein. They have been used and still are used against the Assad government. And, to a certain extent also in Turkey, right? There was a period where the PKK actually fought against Israel together with the PFLP. In fact, Abdullah Öcalan, the leader of the PKK, was arrested with the help of Israeli agents from the Mossad, as far as I remember. But in general, the Kurdish movements have had a pretty tight-knit relationship with the Israelis. And one must understand the worry of the Iranian government when it comes to, for example, the Kurdistan issue. And the Kurds are not the only ones who are causing what we would call separatist activities, right? You have certain pan-Arabist movements in Khuzestan. They have been receiving money from the UAE and Saudi Arabia. You also have the Baluchistan issue, where Baluchi separatists funded by the CIA have been killing Iranian soldiers down there. So this is nothing new. They are trying, like Iraq, like Yugoslavia, like Afghanistan to a certain extent, they try to use sectarian or ethnic strife to divide the country. And there is a agenda to divide Iran, definitely, and to make it into smaller states and weaker states that you can control. But I would say that Iran is not a thankfully, is not in general is not a tribal state. It's not a country that is based upon tribe. I mean, most ethnic groups in Iran intermarry with each other. We have no issue with one another, be it Azeris, Turks, Kurds, or Persians, or any other group. Regardless of your sect or ethnicity, you are loyal to the nation state of Iran, and that's pretty unique in a area in the world where your tribal affiliation, your sectarian affiliation, is more important than that of the nation state. So yes, but we will see how this will play out when we shall go to the Syrian situation. And this is an article from arabnews.com, and Assad tells Erdogan, get your troops out of Syria. So, Syria and Turkey have been at odds since Ankara became a major backer of the political and armed opposition to Assad during the 12-year civil war. Bashar al-Assad on Friday broke his silence on Syria's growing reconciliation with Turkey by demanding that Ankara pulls its troops out of Syria and end support for opposition groups. Syria and Turkey have been at odds since Ankara became a major backer of the political and armed opposition to Assad during the 12-year civil war and has sent its own forces into large parts of the north. Russia is brokering a reconciliation between Damascus and Ankara. Moscow hosted talks between their defense ministers last month, and the aim is for meetings between the foreign ministers and eventually President Assad and Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Let's see here. Assad met Russian presidential envoy Alexander Lavrentiev in Damascus and said talks with Turkey should be based on the aims of ending the occupation of Syrian land and halting Turkish support for what he called terrorism. The meetings should be coordinated between Syria and Russia in advance in order to produce tangible results sought by Syria, he said. Foreign ministers Mevlut Cavusoglu and Faisal Mektad are expected to meet early in February for the highest level talks between Ankara and Damascus since the Syrian war began in 2011. The reconciliation is being closely observed by Iran, Syria's other main ally. Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian said on Friday his country was happy with the dialogue taking place between Syria and Turkey. Amir Abdollahian will travel to Damascus on Saturday for talks with Mektad. So I think here's the thing. Erdogan is pissed off or disappointed at the Americans. He accuses them of the coup that happened in, 18 or 16? I don't remember. But against the coup, there was attempted coup against him. He wanted to see a no-fly zone over Syria, especially over the gas attacks and all that stuff. And ideologically, Erdogan his party is a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is banned in Syria, right? So he for a long time he was a friend of Assad, but decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna ally myself with my Sunni brethren in Syria against your government. Many also speak of him having neo-Ottoman aspirations and so forth. He is also, of course, very pissed off at the fact that the United States have been supporting Kurdish groups such as the YPG, which is the Syrian branch of the PKK, right? And this has made the Turks very, very angry. And if the Russians can make sure that Syria and Turkey comes to some sort of peace agreement, and this would in effect leave the Americans very isolated in northern Syria, and the Kurds will, well, either they have to make amends with Assad or they will face annihilation, I guess. But in effect, the war in Syria will probably be over. So that's about it. And then you have to clean up Idlib, right, which has the highest concentration of Al-Qaeda fighters in the world. I want to thank everybody for taking your time and listening. I want you to like, subscribe if you like what you heard and seen. And I'll see you in the next one.